daughter left home moving to Austin, Texas. She was in a terrible auto accident and admitted into the ICU at Round Rock Hospital. Me and her mother got the phone call. We got to the airport. We had a layover in Baltimore, Maryland for 3 hours. We chose a gate that was about 3 gates down. In about a 5-minute time, a gentleman come up, plenty of chairs all around us, and he sat right next to us. And he said he couldn't help but overhear that we were making phone calls and that our daughter was in the hospital. So he made some phone calls to a friend. If she went to the hospital in an ambulance, it was one of his ambulances, and he was trying to find out some information for us. Talked to a gentleman, all that I know is his name was Scott. We knew nothing more than the fact that she was in an accident, she was in the ICU. Scott called back with the intersection where the accident happened, the time it happened, and where they took them, and the fact that she had to be extricated from the car. And then when we got to Austin the next day, we went to the police station to see if we could find out where the car was or see if there was a police report. In order to get any kind of information, we needed to know 4 distinct facts about the accident, which is all 4 of the information that the gentleman named Lee in Baltimore gave us.
I think when I opened my eyes and my family was here, you know, I had just made the big move. I didn't expect to see them for a while, and to open my eyes and see everyone was kind of shocking, and I had to figure out what was happening. And it took me 4 days to accept the fact that I was in an accident and that I was hurt, but just the feeling of, you know, thankfulness that my family was around me and helping me through it. I feel like my attitude could have been a lot worse, but when I saw all of the love that I was surrounded by, it gave me encouragement to look at the positive side of things. I just kind of began to think about the direction of my life and the trials that you face, and knowing that trials are what strengthen you.
I knew the intersection, so I decided I was going to stop. I was a dad from Ohio that just looking for answers. So I walked across the street, and I was just standing on the corner trying to make sense of what would have happened. All of a sudden there was a voice behind me that said, you know, "Excuse me, sir." And I turned around, and kind of startled me. There was a gentleman standing behind me. He said, "Are you here about the accident a couple days ago?" And I said, "Yes, I am. What do you know about it?" And he said, "Well, let me ask you a question first. What do you know about the little girl in the black car?" I said, "That little girl in the black car was my daughter. What, you know, did you see what happened?"
I didn't actually see it, the car wreck, but what I did was I actually went to the first car, which happened to be Miranda.
And he said the car was so torn up that we couldn't get in the car, but we were able to pry the back door open and get in the back seat.
She was laid over the passenger seat there. And like I said, you could see a little blood on her, and I reached right there real quick and just checked her pulse, and her pulse was real weak. And I started praying to God and also dialing 911 immediately.
He continued to hold her head and pray with her until the paramedics got there.
And the fireman wanted Jimmy let go of Miranda's neck. He said, "No, I'm not letting go of her neck until you put that brace on her neck."
And then he proceeded to find her phone, find the title to her car, and find her purse, and returned it all to the police department.
Oh, I guess about 4 or 5 days later, I actually had the pleasure of meeting Miranda's dad.
He told me his name was Jim. He was talking about where the car stopped and information that really anyone standing on a street corner would have known. But then he reached out, and my daughter had a puncture wound on her neck with 1 stitch on it in the hospital, and I wondered what that 1 stitch was. And he had told me, he said, when I got in the car, he said she was bleeding real bad, and he didn't put his finger on his own neck. He reached out and touched my neck, and he said she was bleeding real bad from right there. At that moment, I knew he was up close and personal with the situation, because no one else would have known that.
And I told him, I said, "Look, brother," I said, "I think we got to say a prayer for your daughter."
And I thought, oh, I've got to say a prayer now. But he put his hands on my shoulder, and he said one of the most gracious prayers I've ever heard for my daughter and my family.
I was really amazed. I think he called me back like 2 or 3 days later. She actually woke up and everything, and her dad called me and said, "Hey man, she's doing, you know, spontaneously, you know." I said, "Well, it's the power of God. There's nothing I've done or anything like that. I don't think God makes mistakes or anything like that when 2 people meet."
I know she's an angel. I know she's an angel. All of y'all are angels.
My daughter spent about a week in ICU, about a week in intermediate care, and then a week in rehabilitation, inpatient. And 2 weeks after the accident, by God's grace, she was let out of the hospital and we took her home. And she's on the road to recovery. Don't let anybody tell you there's not angels out there.
So in the very beginning, once I came home from the hospital, there wasn't too much to look forward to in my day. Otis would go to work and I would be sitting at home. I wasn't able to like walk around and do things. So I would think up different recipes that we could try. I was able to sit on my walker and cut as he helped me cook, and that was like my big prize at the end of the day. I was able to make a meal.
It makes me, happy because if you're in the hospital, it doesn't make you very happy, it makes you depressed. And when the Polish Girls come in, it makes you happy and excited.
So I joined the Polish Girls in August of last year, and after I joined, I began polishing girls' nails with special needs. We went to the hospital, Children's Hospital, several times, and we would just bring joy to children who were kind of stuck in and couldn't feel special. When I decided to move to Austin, I was disappointed that I had to leave my group, but I was excited that I had the opportunity to start another group in Austin, Texas. So I hope once I heal, I'll be able to start that soon. I had told my parents that I was going to move to Austin in January, and one of their main concerns was myself holding my faith up.
She had looked before she left home and come up with a couple of names of churches here in the northern Austin area.
It was just something silly one night. I downloaded the app on my iPad and I typed in my address and I found all these different churches in the area.
And one of them, she said, kept on coming back to her, and that was the Grace Place. We had a one-day pass from Miranda on Easter Sunday to be able to bring her to church and then take her back to the hospital. And that was the first time as a family we all attended the Grace Place Church.
It seemed really close to what I had at home. It's been a major blessing. My story is one of survival, and it's through the grace of God that I've made it this far. You can either choose to focus on the good in a situation or the bad. The bad will hold you back, and I've learned that if you focus on the good, you can really move forward in life and become stronger for it. I could see God's hand working in every aspect of my story, so I had no choice but to take it as a miracle and accept it as something that was going to build me. I chose to grow from it instead of be stunted by it. For me, when I think of the word grace, I picture it as God's protection, God's love, His care for you, and also grace is forgiveness in every aspect of your life. Family and friends, my church, and everyone who was there to kind of show support. They were a huge aspect and factor in my quickness of healing. The support that they showed me really propelled me forward, and I appreciate it. So I would just say thank you.